Welcome to Beltane Eve. There's a little while to go before we have May Day. This is Walpurgis Nacht. Famously in Dennis Wheatley's book, The Devil Rides Out, it is shown to be one of the grand Sabbats of the year, the great grand Sabbats of the year, when many covens would join together and be one super coven to celebrate the spring fire rites and fertility rites of the point in time of the year when it's equidistant between the spring equinox and summer solstice. In the old days, and I mean the old days, not just the days before smartphones, this was way before any kind of idea of a phone, they would actually light the bonfires, or the bonfires even. But they would light fires, and as the cattle were taken out into the fields and turned out for the first time in the year, they would be there with fire to protect them and to protect the fields and to give fertility rites. There was a lot of jollity and games and fun going on at the time, so they were kept quite avidly at the time, really. This is a time of fertility because it's a time when the world, the spring has been. We are now into our summer kind of garb is getting on. I wish someone would tell the weather, but actually this energetic sap rising into the trees and the flowers and the blooms as everything starts to burst forth and burgeon out little buds. We've had the tulips, we've had the daffodils, we've had the bluebells. Now it's time for the summer flowers to show what they've got in their splendour. But before they do that, we will light the sky with fires. And we're on the second night of the supermoon. So, wow, what a Beltane Eve. Now you can use a little cauldron and you can put some charcoal burner in there and a bit of wood, and you can do a little fire ceremony if you want to. Now, some good fire ceremonies are to take a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen and have a think about things that have upset you or people who have upset you. And this is where you start to let things go. Take your little cauldron out or your little crucible, very fire safe, be very safe, use your common sense. Please stay absolutely unburned. Because there's no excuse for being burned for this. You know, you're adults, you're commonsensical, let's do this properly. Some people jump over fires, some people jump over the cauldron. I prefer the cauldron to a certain extent because that means the fire is enclosed in this little crucible and it has a lid so you can actually dampen the fire down quite easily if you want to. And also, if you're wearing clothes, and yes, some people do this naked, although in Scotland I would suggest that it's less than totally usual, because we get very nippy bottoms and very excited midges. I'll just leave that for you to ponder on for a while. And when pagans tend to have clothing on, it's usually this flowing drapey stuff that can catch on embers if you're not careful. If you don't hike your skirts up, you could end up with a very hot body. And I don't mean a hot water bottle. So get your piece of paper. You can have those teeny post-it notes are quite good. You get little slithery ones that are about the size of my finger there. Just write someone's name or a situation that you find yourself in. Something, a couple of words, and then burn it. But while you're burning it, be chanting the person's name, be allowing things to be rising from within you. That sap again is coming up, and then let it go on your voice and release it back to spirit through the flame, through the smoke, and release it back out, and forgive them and forgive yourself for holding on. And that's a simple fire ceremony. You can make it as joyful and wonderfully solidly fancy as you want to. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Spirit doesn't mind, as long as you just do it. So it's a beginning, it's a new beginnings, it's a way of beginning something, and understanding that we're at the very beginning of the turn of the year, and everything's getting green, and the green man has been and gone, but he's actually still looking and waiting in the wings, because we have the whole of summer to go yet. This is the time of the Oak King. And the Oak King leaves are starting to grow, and the buds are bursting, and the trees are all getting their beautiful summer clothes on. So think about that, new beginnings, letting things go. Do you think honestly that the trees and the plants and the animals are all holding grudges from last year when things were not going quite right, still hanging on to that stuff? No, they're not. Because they're too busy giving their energy to getting better and blooming bigger and brighter than before, attracting all the bees and the butterflies so that they can have new plants of themselves, so they can be fertilized, so they can be pollinated. It's all about becoming, surviving, reproducing. It's about a little bit of immortality. It's about joy, it's about dance, it's about fire, it's about kundalini energy rising up through you, through your chakras, and coming out so that you shine when you dance. Have a go and see what happens.